this is. Zero martial training. Joe here, this is zero martial training. We are going to now look at structures throughout the arm, wrist, hand. To start that, we're going to explain a little bit more about what swords, or arms are swords, as this is a really fun way and cool way to look at it and really help you understand really how to move your arms and use them as weapons. All right, so to give you a visual on what arms are swords, we'll just use the stick. You can say arms are sticks, arms swords, arms clubs, whatever you want. All right. So we're using elbow power. All right. So elbow is basically the hand. So if you imagine, so the hand holds the stick or the sword, and then from here we can just put this down so you have that visual. All right. Now we have that visual. So again, this is the hand. All right. The elbow. So I'm moving through. So with a sword, you can say you can cut. All right. We can cut with it. All right, we can stab. You can stab. So this becomes, as my Sifu would say, your multi-tool. Right. So this changes. All right. This is your power driver of the arm, which again, as we went through the different joints, working through the joint focus. So for stabbing, I'm not one for finger jabs or finger darts, as you can jam your fingers and really hurt them. So it's more of a punching for stabbing, palm strike, tiger claw, that kind of thing. With the cutting, or if it's let's say a hammer, you got your hammer fisting, you got your edge of hand, and these can go any direction. Right? And then you have the butt end of your sword or stick. All right, so you can do the elbows. Right? So these all exist, and it's driven through the elbow. So you got two elbows, two arms. So now you're using them. You can move through them, stab, cut, whatever you want. All right, and in order to properly use these tools, your multi-tools, we need to also understand structures within these. So these structures came mainly from Wing Chun. So this is open hand, the way we do it. So you open your hand as hard as you can. You take your thumb, you pull it tight and pull it down. What this is going to do is going to create flexion back here. So when we block, we don't block this way. All right? We block this way. All right? So we're attacking, all right? So if something's coming this way, I attack it, all right? And this creates a lot more strength here. So we don't want this to bend. So by doing this, again, you're flexing the muscles through here and really locking that in. So you create a defense, a force there, all right? So that can be used in your edge of hands as well to really strengthen. And you can even curl your fingers a bit just to make that strong. And you're not going to be hitting with your finger. You generally want to hit with the bones. So this portion, all right? Even here, these are really hard bones. When we do a palm strike, you don't want to hit with this portion because there's nothing behind it. You need to be structural. So you want to be hitting down here. So there's the bone here and the bone here. So hitting through here, all right? Because there's actually something there. Now, if we're going to look at the fist, so fists are very dangerous to use in combat situations. Most combat sports, they have wraps and gloves and stuff because the hands break quite easily. So in combat situations, you generally want to use the open hand more, right? The palm strikes, the edge hand, the hammer fist. So, but if we're going to use the punch, we need to look at it a little bit differently. So a lot of people think they're hitting with their hand, like they just make a fist and just hit with it. But that's not what's happening. All right, a lot of arts and systems, they use this knuckle, but I don't like that because already my wrist is out of alignment and I can easily bend it. So what's actually happening here, so if we look at the hand, we say this is the middle finger, but actually when you're punching, you're not using your thumb, all right? So you remove the thumb. So then these become the middle of the fist, all right? So we're focusing most of our punching with these, all right? So we don't want to punch with this pinky because that'll break quite easily. With Wing Chun, what's called a sun fist. So we normally start here and we push through. So we project. So we're projecting this knuckle, but we're using these two as our striking. All right. So if The main reason we close our fingers when we're punching is to keep them safe. So let's imagine we chopped our fingers off here, all right? So now we have to worry about this alignment. So when we project, that aligns this knuckle with the ulna. So you have compression, all right? Compression is crucial, all right? And then we look at it this way. So fingers again removed, all right? So it's better to have it back slightly, because if you pull your fingers down and like this, you're gonna create another level of flex, all right? So when you punch, the biggest fear other than breaking your knuckles is to hyperextending your wrist, all right? So we want to avoid that. So I like to think of it more as that I'm stabbing with my knuckles than I am punching with my fist, all right? So this makes it much more vicious too, because when you're stabbing with these bones, it almost goes in deeper, more vicious. You can even think of it as like, these are like little claws. So this portion is your paw and you got claws. So when you punch, you come like this and you can almost cut into it as you make the contact, all right? So you really want that. You can even punch, you practice on your punching bag or whatever, go slow of course, you can just keep your fingers like this, and as long as this alignment is in place, you can punch as hard as you possibly want, all right? And by doing all the proper joint focus and stuff like that, and really working from the ground up through, which we'll go a little bit more detail later, but that allows you to now have a weapon that you can hit with as hard as possible without too much fear of that hyperextension. Now when you're practicing, you're still going to want to wrap, right? You want to go slow, because your body's going to be able to deliver more power than it can actually handle the return impact, because you have to build the muscles around the joints, all right? So to practice it safely, start slow. You're going to have to work out too if you want to hit super hard without actually causing any real damage, but you're going to be able to punch harder than you ever imagined you could. Right now, if you punch as hard as you can, it's not going to be very hard. You're still going to hurt yourself. But when you put all these principles and mechanics together and then start delivering power, you're going to have to make sure these alignments and structures are in place too to protect yourself from those other damages, but still move through it slowly. Use the proper wrapping. There's different videos you can watch online about how to wrap. There's a lot of different kinds. Also, using gloves is good. I don't tend to use boxing gloves because I like to be able to make a proper fist. I use more of an MMA glove, and that's just to protect my knuckles from ripping, because when you're ripping your skin, you can't train the next day because it stings, it hurts, it keeps ripping open more and more, you get blood all over the place. So it's big with the alignments though. So again, practice on the bag, feel that impact, find your positioning, have loose fingers while you're practicing. Now, like I said, the reason why we close our hand or our fingers is to protect them, all right? So you basically just want to go like this in, but you don't want to squeeze it. Especially do not want to squeeze these bottom knuckles, because you create kind of a gnarl, right? You create that down. So you actually want to be squeezing with these top two while projecting this one. So you create more of a flat surface, all right? And then you tuck that knuckle. You do not want to do that. You do not want to do that, all right? So you want to tuck the thumb, and it's just like you do in your, what I call Wing Chun hand, and that protects the thumb. Because if you damage this thumb, there's so many moving parts, you will never come back to full use. These are pretty simple, right? So they can come back to more full use, but protect your knuckle at all costs, all right? So after we've got that part alignment, we need this alignment here, all right? So the elbow again is driving that. So if I'm going this way, the elbow is supporting that. If I'm going uppercut, again, the elbow's supporting it, all right? If I'm doing a hook, that elbow is behind it, creating that. If I, you can just see it, all right? So if I hook, so you don't want to do a hook where just kind of here, you're out like that, because there's nothing behind it. You want to bring it in. So a hook is more of a close quarters position. Body, mid-body, head, all right? So again, that's all structure. This doesn't change, all right? It doesn't change whether it's here, whether it's here, whether it's here. It's all the same. It's just a simple structured position being supported by the power driven through the elbow, which is then connected to the shoulders, the hips, the ground. Right. So make sure these structures are in place to protect yourself, and so that you can properly, fully deliver the incredible power you'll be able to deliver after putting all these into place.